Good evening, Canine World. I am Antuan Carlisle of Canine Care Consultants. I am the Chief Consultant here at CCC, and we're here today for today's episode of the World Famous Dog Talk. Yes, I said world famous. You guys, that last episode got over 4,600 views. I mean, it went viral, you guys, and we thank you. We couldn't have done it without you. So we thank you for all of the likes and the shares and the comments, and we got so many calls and inboxes and emails concerning that episode, and people want to know when we're going to do another one. So we just thank you guys for the success of it, and of course we give glory to God for the success of it. We thank Him right now for anything that we may do or say that can help you guys in your home with your canine companion. We just give Him all the glory for it. And hey, let's not wait any longer. Let's get started. Today's episode is called Licking and Leaping. Today we're going to talk about those dogs that are constantly licking you. I mean, and licking you profusely. We're going to also talk about those dogs that are leapers, that are jumping up on you, jumping up on your guests and family and friends and people you meet in the streets. And we're going to discuss why they're doing that, what's causing it, where did it begin, and where it can end. Today we're going to cover a lot of our golden nuggets. The golden nuggets are kind of like 10 commandments of dog training. There are some nuggets that we wrote. It's about 65 of them. We're going to actually cover a few of them. So you guys will get some free nuggets today. So some of them were covered in that subject. So we're going to go over those, and hopefully we can help you guys. And I pray that we can be a benefit to you and your canine companion and y'all's relationship. Today we're going to start with 27. Nugget 27 is a dog should never put his or her mouth or feet on you at any time. It does not have a good meaning. A lot of people think that the licking is a way of them showing affection or kissing you. And truth of the matter is, dogs don't kiss. That's not how they show affection. If you were to Google it puts it the nice way. They would say that the dog is seeking acceptance. Well, that's for the most part pretty true. We here call it a negotiation tool. That dog is trying to negotiate. He's trying to see how far he can get with you. It's kind of like that man shaking that other man's hand. If he reaches out and shake it, then I know we probably can go a little further. If I reach my hand out to shake you and you don't shake it, then I know I need to go find somebody else to play with. You see what I'm saying? So it's definitely like a negotiation tool. That dog knows that if he can lick you and you not correct it, then he can go further. He can paw you. If he can paw you with one hand, he can paw you with two hands. If he can paw you with two hands, then he can jump up on you. If he can jump on you, he can jump on your couch, on your bed, knock your food over, eat out your plate, and so forth and so on. And the sky's the limit from there. But it started with him testing the water with that lick. When he licked you and you didn't correct it, you embraced it because you thought he was kissing you or showing you love, then he knows that you're putty in his hands. That's fact. Truth of the matter, that's what's going on. Let me give you a dog example. One dog example is, say you go to the dog park, you'll see a younger, maybe less established dog approach another dog. You'll see him run in and slide into home base. When that dog runs in and slides into home base, you'll see him begin to lick at the bottom, lick at his feet, and kind of start to work his way up. That more established dog is going to do one or two things. He's going to either correct it or embrace it the way some of us do. He'll get on that dog, and that's to let that dog know, hey, I'm on to what you're doing. It doesn't mean he hates him. Doesn't mean that they can't play. They can't be friends. It doesn't mean any of that. All he's saying is, you want to know? Let me show you. I'm alpha. I'm not the submissive type. Let's get that clear before we play any further. At that point, the dog on the bottom has an option. Slide back out from under there and run off into the horizon because he don't care to play with a dog that's dominant or a dog that's an alpha. Or he'll slide out from under there submissively. They'll come to an agreement with where they stand on the hierarchy, and they'll run off and play and have a ball. You know, it's only a communication. So when you correct that dog for licking, you're not saying I hate you, and the dog isn't going to take it that way. All he wants to see where he stands on the hierarchy and where he stands with you. That's all that's about. But guess what? If you embrace it, he knows he can go further. And once he goes further, you'll go even further and further and further and further, and then you'll find yourself in front of a trainer. Just that simple. You know, he knows that once he tests that water and you don't give the right answer, he knows that he can go further on the hierarchy, and that's what you don't want. So when you do that, and when that dog does that, you want to correct it because that's what that dog is trying to do. He's just trying to see how far he can go. And your response is not going to hurt his feelings. All it does is give him the answer to the question he's asking. So when that dog is licking you, new puppy, you just met him, that's what he's trying to find out. That dog that is an adult dog that is licking you constantly, all he's doing is telling you, I'm confused and I need some help because you're not communicating properly with me. I don't know where we stand. I don't know if we friends, enemies, you alpha, I'm your alpha. I don't know. So I'm licking you. I'm trying to see where we stand. And I'm waiting on you to give me a response that clears that up for me. That's what the licking means. It's not because your hand tastes good. It's not because he wants to kiss you. He's only trying to figure something out. And if you give proper communication and make sure that dog understands who you are and who he is to you, the licking will go away. None of my dogs lick me. None of them. For no reason. Because I'm constantly communicating what they need to know. So they don't have to question or negotiate or anything. There's nothing to negotiate. I'm alpha, you're the subordinate, but we best buddies. But you just got to respect me. So that eliminates the need for the licking. Even to the jumping. We're gonna get into that. All that started somewhere. The next nugget that we covered is the show can't go on until they obey. A lot of times when that dog is jumping up on you, instead of you correcting what he's doing, you may say sit or down. You know, you never corrected it. All you did was redirect it. We're not big fans of redirecting. A lot of people teach redirection. I'm not a fan of it at all. I don't want to redirect you from what you were doing wrong over to something else. I want to let you know that it was wrong. I want to correct it. So a lot of times when we redirect something, you never really told him it was wrong. You just got him on to something else. Well, guess what happens when he gets done with that something else? He go back over to what he was doing. So you definitely want to make it clear that that's wrong. I don't accept that. Don't do that. Then if you want to go on to something else, after he's given you and committed to submission, then we can go over to something else that may better suit him. But you got to have clarity in letting him know that that was wrong. We're not going to redirect you over to something else. We're going to tell you that that's wrong, make you stop doing it, stay right there not doing it, commit to not doing it, then we can go on to something else. So you definitely want to correct that. You don't want to redirect. So the show does not go on until they obey. All right? That dog's pulling on the leash. We can't go any further. Like my grandma would say, you ain't going another further. You know, if you pulling on the leash until you stop pulling, we can't get past this point. So we correct the pulling. Then once he commits to submitting, then we can go forward. But if he's still going to get from A to B while still pulling, he has no incentive to stop pulling. You got to correct it. You can't redirect it or move on to something else. The show got to stop. Dogs thrive. This is number 13 on our golden nuggets. Dogs thrive on rules, boundaries, and repetition. They don't understand why you say one thing one day and mean it and then not mean it the next. Keep it black and white, no gray areas. That is so simple. Dogs need boundaries, rules, and discipline and structure. They thrive in that. You know, that's the way they're hardwired. You know, they appreciate rules and boundaries and structures and discipline. But instead, we let it be a free-for-all because we're just so glad we got a dog and let him run all over the house and let him play and cut up in the house and knock over stuff. And society has taught us that he's just being a puppy. That's just the way it's supposed to be. And that's not true. That's absolutely not true. He would much rather you give him boundaries and rules and structure. And guess what? That allows him to know what he should be doing, what his purpose is, what's expected of him. It's a whole lot easier for him to get it right if you put things in place. But when you do things out of order, then it makes it a whole lot more difficult for him to get it right. You know, you got to set up some boundaries and some rules, and he'll feel a whole lot more comfortable. You'll notice that there's a whole lot less confusion in your dog, a whole lot less pressure on your dog if he just would give him simple expectations that he can understand. He's already wired up that way. Yeah, that's easy for him. But the way we do it, because we're so glad we got a dog, we just let him do whatever, and it causes problem in the future, and it sets him up for failure. And in the end, it sets you up for failure. So they thrive on those things. Number 20, praise what you want and correct what you don't want. Everybody says, oh, that's self-explanatory, that's simple. No, well, I never see it. I never see clients praising when the dog gives them what they want. I never see them correct when the dog is giving them something they don't want. Or I see them on one end of the spectrum or the other end. I'll see people correcting everything, but not praising anything, or praising everything, but not correcting anything. And there's no accuracy in your praise and your correction. So the dog never really knows what you want. He never really knows what's expected of him, what you want from him. He don't have a clue because you're not praising and correcting. And what people don't realize is that's how dogs learn. They have to have that. Alpha in the wild is not, sitting up here in an office with PowerPoint showing the pack what they need them to do. He allows them to do what they feel led to do. Then he praises them accordingly, and he corrects them accordingly. He timely and effectively praises when they do something he wants. He timely and effectively corrects when they do something he don't want. That's how that happens. And that's how dogs learn. They have to have balance. But what I see so often is I see people, the dog doing things that I know is undesirable, and they're still petting the dog. We got to stop being so in love with loving on the dog that you're not giving him what he needs. He's giving you undesirable behaviors, you're praising it, and then you get mad when it continues. You get mad when he's persistently continuing to do these bad behaviors, but you're continually praising these bad behaviors. Here at CCC, not only do we correct bad behaviors, we correct the thought of it. And we teach you in a fashion where you can read a dog so well to where even if he is thinking of doing something, you can correct the thought and it never happens. So you got to be accurate in your correction and in your praise, and you got to have balance, or the dog will never learn anything, and he'll spend, like most dogs, spend their entire life with their human confused and pressurized because they never know what's expected of the human. Probably because the human is up and down constantly. And he's certainly not communicating properly. So it leaves the dog full of pressure, always panting. And by the way, he ain't always hot and thirsty when he's panting. A lot of times it's pressure on him because of confusion or miscommunication. So we're going to move on to the next one. Number 22, in order to have a happy, healthy relationship with an animal, submission and authority must be in place. It's a must. It's not an option. If you have an animal, they are already geared and wired for submission to authority. Or the opposite. You got me? This ain't optional. This ain't Antuan's theory. This ain't Canine Care Consultant's theory. Our theory is nature. It's not something we came up with. It's not some book we read. This is how dogs are. He's an animal. He understands submission to an authority, and he understands following an alpha. Whether you be the alpha or he be the alpha. Somebody's got to be the alpha. One of the things that we teach our clients, and one of the nuggets is, if and when you're dealing with an animal, somebody's got to be alpha. And that animal knows that. So that means whether you be the alpha or you choose that that's not the way I want to raise my animal, I don't want to be an alpha, that's fine. Then he's going to be the alpha. But in his mind, somebody's going to be the alpha. Now, whether you choose that role or he chooses that role, somebody's going to rule the hierarchy. Somebody's going to be at the top of the totem pole. So either you're going to choose that position or he's going to choose it. But somebody's going to run somebody. Whether you choose that theory or that way of training your dog or raising your dog or not, somebody's going to be alpha. So if you want to have a healthy relationship with your animal, it's probably best that you choose that position. One of the human examples we use is sometimes a mother and a daughter, or a father and a son. That parent chooses to be that child's, their bestie or their best friend. That ain't no good way to do that. Yeah, you want to be close with your child. You want that child to be able to confide in you and share things with you and be close with you. But don't ever take on the role of being their best friend versus their mother or their father. It's going to put you in a bad position real soon. Real soon, that child's going to get older and more confident and more mature. And because you guys came up as equals, if ever they decide to challenge whatever you're saying or they don't like something you're saying, you're going to have a fight. Why? Because y'all equals. That's what besties do. When besties get into it with each other, they voice their opinion. They say what they want to say. And we can either continue to be besties or we part ways. Well, when you have the position of alpha or the motherly or fatherly position, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a parental expert, but I firmly believe it's the same concept. When you establish yourself as a father or a mother, that option to curse you out or fight you and all that stuff, that option never even exists. Never existed because you establish yourself as alpha. And anytime a dog sees you as alpha, they don't mess with you or nothing that belongs to you. and they respect you in a fashion to where it's not an option to reach and bite you or growl at you about their food or bite at you about their toy or any of that stuff. That stuff doesn't even exist when he truly sees you as alpha. So there's a lot of things that we can eliminate or avoid if you establish yourself in the right way on day one when that puppy starts licking you. A lot of things we can do to avoid those things. So if you want that relationship to be healthy now and going forward, go ahead and make it clear who you are. Because guess what? If you make it clear that y'all are equals, if and when he ever decides to challenge you, he going to challenge you full blown like you his equal. Whereas if you establish that you're here and he's here. And see, a lot of times when people see this, they don't like that illustration. They think that that's the relationship. No, that's the hierarchy. If you establish the hierarchy like this, that'll cause the relationship to be like this. But if the hierarchy is like this, there's going to always be conflict. It's going to always be conflict because they're never going to be willing to submit to you or ever work for you if they see you guys as equals. So you definitely want to establish the right hierarchy. Number 23 is your tone is almost as, and in some cases more important than what you are saying. The tone is huge. The tone is huge. A lot of times when people have a dog that's jumping up on them and doing something that they don't like for that dog to do, then let's say the dog's jumping up and they're like, get down, Fido, stop, get down. Now, you're saying stop and you're saying get down, but you're also praising physically and verbally with your tone. You're not making it clear that you want him to get down. And if he continues to get that, he's going to continue to jump. Because it feels more to jump with that than to jump without you doing that. Because you're praising and you're verbally praising with your tone. When a dog jumps up, it should be or stop. You know, it needs to be clear communication. It needs to understand it is undesirable. But if you're giving all of this kissy correction, you might as well be praising it. You know, you might as well be praising it. So you definitely want to have your tone correct. When you do your correction, it needs to be in a deep growling tone. Something they can recognize or something that's familiar with what they would get in the wild. You don't say, stop. Ladies, if you tell a guy, stop, you're saying keep going. You know, if you really want this guy to leave you alone, right? Stop. Guess what he's going to say? My bad. You know. And that's one of the human examples we use for that. You know, your tone has got to say what you mean. You got to let that person or dog know how you feel about what you're saying. You know, that tone is important. Sometimes more important than what you're saying. A lot of times that dog don't know what you're saying no way. He don't speak English unless you teach him. So he don't know what you're saying anyway. So when you give the right tone, he'll get the right message. Definitely want to get that part right. It is vital. It's number 26. It is vital that you actually know what you want and don't want in a relationship. That's huge. That's huge, guys. You know, in a relationship, if that dog did want to please you, you got to know what you want yourself. You know, you got to make it clear what you're expecting of this dog. You got to make it clear what you don't want from this dog. You know, one of the human examples we use is, you know, say in a marriage, you know, that spouse has got to let you know really what they want or don't want. You know, and in order to do that, they got to know what they want and don't want. You know, you can't tell somebody, you know, you can't present a problem in front of, say, a fixer like myself, you know, and it not really be what you need it fixed. You see what I'm saying? You know, because I'm going to fix it. And if it turns out that that wasn't really the problem, I just missed the target. Why did I miss the target? Because the target keep moving. So in a relationship, unless you really know what you want, that person or that dog can't never fulfill it because that ain't really what you wanted. That goes back to the redirecting. If I jump up on you and you tell me sit, yeah, I sit. Yeah, I sit. But when I go to jump up on you again, you know, I'm going to jump up on you again. When I feel the urge to jump up on you, I'm going to jump up on you because you never told me it was wrong. You just told me to sit. So if you don't really let them know that that's something you don't want or that is wrong and you correct it, as soon as it resurfaces or as soon as they're presented with the urge or the desire to jump up on you, they're going to jump up on you because you never gave clear communication. Because you don't really know what you want. Because according to what you said, jumping is okay, but right now I want you to sit. And that's why the problem continues. So you got to know what you want in a relationship. You got to know, because in order for you to get it, you got to ask for it. And in order for you to ask for it, you got to actually know that that's what you want or don't want. So very important. The next one we covered is everything is connected. If you spent any amount of time with myself or been through our program, you'll know by now everything is connected. Everything is connected. Believe it or not, that lick on day one was connected to that chewed up couch. That pawing on day 2 is connected to him not being able to stop jumping on people. You see what I'm saying? You know, a lot of times when that dog paws at you, you know, you go to shaking his hand and stuff, and you think, oh, I taught him to shake hands. Dogs don't shake hands. And I guarantee you didn't teach him that. He did it first. Then once he did it, you saw him do it, and you added a command to it and told everybody that you taught him to shake hands. Really, that dog dominated you that day. You caught it, you embraced it, and you even praised him for it. And then you end up with a wild, out of control dog a lot of times. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, everything is connected. Everything that dog does from the first week or so that he's with you, he's really testing the water, just seeing how far he can get with you. He's trying to find out what he can get away with, what's okay, what's not okay. And you can establish all of those problems that you're going to have 2 years from now, or a year from now, 9 months from now. You can establish all those problems that first week or 2. Or you can eliminate them and prevent them from ever happening again. But you got to know how to talk dog. You got to know how to understand their language. You got to doganize yourself, if there's such a word, instead of trying to humanize that dog, because he ain't gonna never be a human, ever. No matter how long you have, no matter how much you teach him, he's gonna still be a dog. So it's easier for you to just doganize yourself and understand dogs. Since you're the smarter vessel, why don't you just learn how to be a dog and communicate the way dogs communicate and eliminate all those problems? All those problems that society says is normal. You know, oh, he's just being a puppy. You're going to go through that. No, you don't. I don't go through none of that with my puppies. Ain't nothing around here chewed up. You know, ain't no pee on no carpet nowhere. You know, because I already understand dogs. I know what they're going to do. I know when they're going to do it and how they're going to do it. And that's what I'm here to teach you guys. So we can eliminate that stuff and make life easier for everybody. Not just you, but for your dog. You know, we want to prevent your dog from walking around stressed out and confused as to what you're trying to get them to do. And we want to take away all the frustration and stress from you as well, so you can understand your dog and give him what he needs versus what makes you feel good. Which brings us to our last one. The last one is get over yourself. Get over yourself. It's very important that you get over yourself. You can't give a child or a dog what they need if you worry about how it's going to make you feel. You got to put yourself aside. If you can't put yourself aside for your child or your dog, then you shouldn't have had a child or got a dog. You know, a dog or a child is not an accessory. They're not a Louis bag. You know, they're not a Brahmin purse. You know, you have to give them what they need in order to function and be raised up in the way that they should go. You have to put yourself aside. A lot of times we don't correct our dogs timely and effectively or at all because of how it makes us feel. I don't want to hurt his feelings. That dog is not finna get his feelings hurt. If you correct timely and effectively and accurately, it's not going to hurt his feelings because he know what he did when he did it. He was expecting you to correct him. But guess what happened when you don't? He said, showtime. I'm finna run all over this person. And he going to run over you all the way to 9 months. A lot of times a dog is going to, you know, a lot of times they'll show the bad behaviors at about 5 months. By the time they're 9 months, they're going to make you do one or two things. That 9 month to a year period, he's going to make you do one or two things. He's going to make you go hire a trainer, or he's going to make you get rid of him. Because he put the feelers out to test the water at about 6-7 weeks. You just kept embracing it and letting stuff go over your head. Then you start getting older and more confident at it at 3 months. And 5 months, he really started flexing, right? By the time he's 9 months, he's way more mature, way more confident in what he was already saying, and now it's beginning to manifest. It's showtime. Y'all finna be toe to toe because he gonna tear up your most valuable item in the house. And he gonna make you see a trainer or get rid of him. So my goal is to get to that before it gets there. I want to communicate to you guys the proper way to communicate to a dog so that we can eliminate these things. Because one of the other nuggets that we have is submission is usually readily available, but you have to give the subject something to submit to. The average dog, unless he's an alpha type dog that you really gonna have to get on to, he don't mind submitting. He ain't finna submit to you and you ain't no alpha. Not in his eyes. You can try to communicate that you're an alpha all you want to, but if you don't do it the dog way, he ain't gonna never respect you. But if you do it and you do come across as an alpha the way alphas come across, he don't mind submitting to that. He'll be put in your hands. But unless you learn dog talk, unless you learn how to communicate properly, you'll never get there. You'll just be going in circles. No matter how many clickers and treats and books and magazines and websites and videos, and until you do it the dog way, I don't get nowhere. You'll appear to get somewhere. But it ain't gonna be foolproof. The right distraction come along, it's over, just like that. So we try to teach people the proper way to communicate, how to doganize yourself, and how to get that dog to actually communicate with you and function happily and healthily in your home. So, you guys, that was the last nugget we wanted to cover. We're gonna get into a lot more things, in the next episode. Again, we thank you guys for all of the support, everything you guys have done for us, all the likes and shares and comments and helping us go viral. We thank you guys. Hey, do the same thing with this video. You guys send it everywhere. Send it to every neighborhood group. Every friend of the family, because like I tell you, you might not need our help, but somebody on your friends list needs our help. So feel free to share it, you guys. And like we always say, somebody gonna get some help today. We thank you guys for tuning in, and this was episode 3 of Dog Talk, Licking and Leaping. I hope it helped you, and if it did, praise God. If it didn't, stay tuned for the next episode. Maybe we'll cover your issue next time. Thank you guys, and God bless. This is Antuan Carlisle at Canine Care Consultants with Dog Talk. Talk to you soon.